So we finished here with the properties of addition on the front. We're going to flip this over. We're going to write properties of multiplication on the back. Okay, so with our properties of multiplication, we're going to have 5 instead of 4. So we're going to have to squish these in a little bit and make them fit. So we have, you'll see some similarities here. We have the commutative property, and it's very similar to the commutative property of addition. So what it is saying here is that the numbers can be multiplied in any order and get the same product. Which is the answer to a multiplication problem. So if we were looking at 2, and that symbol means times, 2 times 3, that's the same as 3 times 2. I get 6 when I multiply 2 times 3. I get 6 when I multiply 3 times 2. So again, the numbers here are commuting, is the root word, commute. The numbers are traveling. The numbers travel. And what that looks like using variables would be A times B. Remember, we can just write those letters right beside each other when we're multiplying. We do not have to put the multiplication symbols in there. So A times B is the same as B times A. And that is commutative. Let's see. So then next, we're going to have associative. And this is where the numbers change the group. The numbers in the group change. You get the same product. Change the group of friends. Same product in same order. So what that looks like would be 3 times 4 inside parentheses times 5 is the same as 5, excuse me, same thing as 3 parentheses 4 times 5. So the order is the same, 3, 4, 5. This is in the first place, this is in the second place, that's in the middle, and this one's last. So the order has stayed the same. Now let's check. 3 times 4 is 12, times 5 is 60. Over here we have 3. Order of operations tells us to do 4 times 5 first, and that 3 times 20 is also 60. So we've gotten the same answer there, and that's important. Okay, so the numbers are changing. The root word here is associate, which means who are your friends? With whom do you associate? So the numbers are changing with whom they're associating, whom they are friends with. And that would look like with variables if A and B are in parentheses being multiplied, and C's out here by himself and sad, Then on the other side we would have A outside the parentheses, lonely and sad, and B and C are together in the parentheses in the friendship. Note that it's still in alphabetical order, A, B, C, A, B, C. The order is the same, but who is inside the friendship, the parentheses, has changed. So here's the next one, the new one, that we're going to have to squeeze in here. It's distributive. And this is unique to multiplication. It is the number outside the parentheses is being distributed to every term inside the parentheses by multiplication. So what that would look like, if I had 4 parentheses 2 plus 7. Some of you have called this shooting stars. I take the number that's outside the parentheses because for any number directly beside a parentheses, it means 4 times whatever is inside that parentheses. So I would multiply 4 times 2, and I would also say 4 times 7, and there's the addition sign in between. So if I followed the order of operations here, this would be 4 times 9, and this is 36. If I distributed it and said 4 times 2, that's 8, and then 4 times 7 is 28, I still get 36. And that is a unique property to multiplication. So it means to, the root word here is distribute. And I like to say that everybody's getting their fair share, or we're equal opportunity here. And what that looks like with letters, with variables. If A parentheses B plus C, close the parentheses, that would be A times B plus A times C, AC. And that is the distributive property. Give everyone inside the parentheses their fair share. Alright, we've got 2 more properties to squish on there. The identity property is you multiply by 1 and you get the same number. So that would be 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? It's got the same identity. We have not changed the identity of the 6. So 1 is the identity element for multiplication. One is the number that we use when we don't want to change the identity of a number in multiplication. So your identity is who you are. It's your name. And it's who the number is. So that's saying if we multiply 1, the number 1, times any number, we're still going to get that same number. That is identity for multiplication. Last one. Inverse property of multiplication. When a number and its reciprocal are multiplied together for a product of 1. So let's take an example. If I had the number 8 and I multiplied it by its reciprocal is going to be 1/8. If I multiply those together, I'm going to get a product of 1. This is also called the multiplicative, it's a big word, multiplicative multiplicative inverse, or its reciprocal, or perhaps in elementary school you called it the flip. What that looks like with variables would be I take any number and I multiply it by its reciprocal, its multiplicative inverse, and I will get a product of 1 there. And that is the inverse. Oops. Neglected to write associative here. Alright, so now what we're going to do, now that we've gotten all of that information, we're going to take our glue stick, we're going to apply glue, and put it into our journal. So here's my journal. I'm going to go to the next empty page. Now for me, that is page 11. If your page 11 is the next empty page, then you'll use that. If it's not, you'll use whatever the next empty page is for you. And here's my glue. And I'm going to apply glue right over here where it says glue on this tab that we made from the properties of addition. Just on that little section right there. I'm going to fold that back behind right there, and I'm going to attach it right there, and then just press down firmly, make sure it gets attached in there. So there it is, it's attached. It's an extra page there on page 11. So I'm going to go to my table of contents and write that page 11 is the properties of addition and multiplication and that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening.